So then, the second part of the race about to get underway here at Fuji. We are expecting this to be the full turnout, I believe. I think we might be missing one person, but we're hanging on diligently with the hope that they make it. There's Xiaomi, 34 car. She shares with Brandosa. Porsche 919 for the Elite Brake and Mechanical team. Running the Continental rubber. We are expecting the race to be underway very shortly. We hopefully will see that be the case. If you are tuning in for this second part, thank you so much for doing so. We hope you are looking forward to this broadcast from the Track Stars series. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, then please do so. It means a lot. It keeps us happy. Keeps us happy and smiling. So then, we are just a couple of minutes removed from the start, hopefully. We are just waiting on one or two stragglers, but I think sooner rather than later we're probably going to end up being harsh to them and saying tough, which I'd say is justified. Wood in the 16 car. We expect him to be right on the money. Historically, one of the quicker drivers in Track Stars. See how he takes the 919 here at Fuji. He'll be classified, they're just about 20 seconds off the lead, we believe. Once we go green. HSV171 wishing good luck to the Pit Lane Esports drivers and everyone out there on circuit. Coming for You has arrived. That was the straggler we were racing for. Hopefully he can get in and stay in. Hopefully no one ends up disconnecting and we can get this race underway in short order. Number 95 car. Just in 9:30 at the wheel, 10 minutes until we go racing. Okay. So then Justin 930 will of course inherit the lead to this. He will also have to bear in mind that apparently there's a 5-second penalty to be applied to It's Racing's car for the car after It's Racing was late to cross the blend line for pit lane entry, realising the car was almost out of fuel. So Justin will have to bear that in mind. He does have a cushion over the second place car in GT, which is of course the Pit Lane Esports BMW. This man disappointed, the 24 car. Interested to see how he gets on. I have variously referred to him as disappointed and DJSX pointed, but has been confirmed to me that he is disappointed. He doesn't sound disappointed. I've spoken to the man in real life at this stage, and he doesn't sound disappointed, but he is disappointed. He's far from disappointed with the driving from his teammate Broccolilli. G'd him on in a big way. We look forward to seeing how the BMW stacks up against Justin 930's Aston in the second portion of this race. Psycho Bacala, I believe that's a new face, if I'm not mistaken. At the wheel of the CP Porsche. Incident there between the Porsche and the BMW. Lads, it's not even close to a race. Chill. So then, should just be a few minutes before we go green. We are set to go in 2 minutes. Diswood with the pace so far in the... well, no, Lurox with the fastest time of anyone within this lobby thus far at 23.4, which is a bit off what we saw from race pace from Spud and Blacko. Of course, Lurox 22 is the teammate to Little Blacko. Oh, that Porsche looking lively in the hands of Diswood. Ah, it's Tomater. World's best backwards driver. Disappointed. Killing some time. Let's hope he doesn't jinx himself. The car doesn't get used to driving backwards. Sounds like we will be underway momentarily. Oh, didn't quite top 120 Ks. Unfortunately. Diswood is now trying his attempt at backward as well. Make sure you don't do this in the race, guys. We are about ready to go racing then for 2 hours at Fuji. Hopefully we get the full race duration in. Word is that we won't be doing much in the way of restarts. We hope the race will get underway cleanly. It's a rolling start with no formation lap here for the second race. Will be Punts that leads the field away for 2 hours of racing. And they are underway here at Fuji. Off to a good start by the looks of it is Lurox 22 right there on the back bumper of Punts. Punts a little deeper on the brakes. Lurox looks to the inside. Diswood right there with them. Let's look back to the GTs. It's Justin 930 leading, coming for you there with a bit of sideways action. Gets past Disappointed, who of course was second in class. Off the line, they're side by side. Looks like Pointed is just about going to hold on to the place. A little bit of a glance and glow between the two of them. Let's go back to the lead of the race. Diswood looks eager to try and dispatch Lurox 22 here. Looking very eager indeed. Runs it a bit wide there, compromises his exit from the corner. He will of course have the slip down the long front straight here at Fuji. Chef Toddy there in fourth place. Xiaomi, Devlin, Calypso and Nismo behind him. Diswood in the slip. Is he going to be able to drop alongside the Toyota? It's stronger in a straight line, that Toyota, and you can see that there just with the fact that the Porsche barely closed in, but he still makes a move. They make a little bit of contact. Lurox just on the AstroTurf and Diswood through into second place. Now can Wood break free from Lurox and challenge Punts? It looks as though Lurox just running it a bit offline there through turns 2 and 3. Is he going to close in on Punts? Let's just quickly check on the GTs. It's Justin building a nice lead over Pointed at the moment. Pointed breaking away from coming for you. Coming for you. Rather less comfortable. He's got a Porsche and a Corvette right behind him. Mika's looking fairly racy there in the Corvette. Diswood then exits the final corner with almost no boost available to him. Just look how that Porsche, that Toyota drives away down a straight. Certainly seems the Porsche is slightly weaker as an overall package than the Toyota. Just holding Diswood out of slipstream range at the moment. I think that Porsche is a slightly more nimble car. Of course, so many of the circuits on this calendar are straight line oriented, so how much of an advantage that will be across the season remains to be seen. Certainly the crown jewel event at Le Mans is going to be in favour of the Toyota. Lerox 22 has already fallen back 3.5 seconds here from the lead. Devlin Calypso has had a fairly good start there in 5th place. He's got ahead of Xiaomi as it stands. Chef Toddy doing well there in 4th place as well. Of course, 4th is where that car currently sits in at the overall battle, a lap off the lead. And also, if memory serves correctly, a lap clear of anyone else. So Toddy is actually fairly comfortable in this race. He can just keep himself to himself. Pointed here, challenging Justin for the lead in GT then. He's just about within slipstream range. That Aston is stronger in a straight line. The mighty V12 Vantage. One of the stronger cars in a straight line with the most recent set of GT Sport BOPs in play. Up on his best first sector. Isn't going to let up this early in the race. Pointed in that 24 car. Keeping himself close. Battle for 10th is looking close as well. Psycho there. 3rd in class at the moment. Ahead of Coming For You, whose Aston is looking a little bit squirrely. And that Corvette mix. It's Robo Sport Racing colours. It's a good battle, of course. Corvette and Aston have had a long and storied rivalry in the GT ranks, dating back to the days of the beginning of the Aston Martin DBR9 program in 2005. Realistically, the battle only ending between Aston Martin and Corvette this year, with the announcement that Aston Martin would be withdrawing its factory GTE Pro Le Mans program. But pretty much every year for over a decade and a half, Corvette and Aston would come to blows in GT at Le Mans. Coming to blows for the lead, but again, the strength of the Toyota in a straight line puts Puntz back in the position. But Diswood, we predicted he would be quick. And at the moment, it certainly looks as though he is. Side by side between the two of them. Toyota has the inside, but Diswood around the outside there. Puntz had to concede. Now he's just got to hope he stays close enough to that Porsche. As we've established, it's weaker in a straight line. Then has lost a good couple of seconds. A 1:28.2 last lap points to a mistake for Puntz, more so than a move from Diswood. So unfortunately Puntz has been bitten by the error bug a little bit there. He continues to press on. He's now got Lurox in the mirrors as well, so the Toyotas that fought so hard all throughout the first race could once again find themselves at locked horns for race 2, although I think it would be in the best interests of both drivers if they don't end up fighting each other right now, because if they start fighting each other and Diswood disappears up the road, then Diswood could take the victory for his team. This car piloted very well by Huso in the early going. Is only about 20 seconds behind, there or thereabouts as an approximation. And a good spot there from Stream, yes, damage to Puntz's car, and he's let Lurox through. Of course, pit stops are so much more costly in-game these days, so maybe he's trying to avoid it. They're side by side into T2, but he can't get the move done. But correct from the stream, I didn't think to look at that, but yes, damage to the rear and the right of Puntz's car. Rear right suspension and rear splitter, potentially tray damage. It looks like it is hindering that Toyota badly. 125's all he can muster. I'd be inclined to make that pit stop. I know it's costly, and it puts Puntz under a lot of pressure, but surely the time loss is going to be greater if he just continues around doing 125's. Does he stay out? Looks as though he's going to, yes. This is going to get very interesting between them. As we say, Wood needs 20 seconds. That's how far behind Huso was at the end of the race. And certainly, he's already gained about 4 of those seconds on Puntz. Lurox will be fairly happy with his situation now, because Puntz has fallen back enough now that he isn't within slip or in danger of making a move imminently, so Lurox can now focus up and try and hunt Diswood. Looks like a change for lead in GT. Pointed is in the lead of the race in GT at the moment. Of course, it's only this portion of the race, just in 9:30, still in control handsomely within the greater 4-hour arc of the event, so to speak. But in this second portion, this second stint, he is comfortable, or he was, at least, a moment there. I think just got a wheel on the grass. Let's take a look at that. Yes, just a wheel on the grass. He collected Devlin Calypso as well. Very lucky to avoid damage. I don't know if Devlin has. No, he has got damage. Unfortunately, he's been collected, but Diswood is in. Diswood has damage. Diswood has made an error while we were looking elsewhere. Do we get to see that on replay? No. But it's all kicking off here at Fuji. And Diswood, the man we hypothesized that Diswood would quite happily drive away here. However, it seems as though the drama bug has bit him as well. Guessing he must have had his own error. We saw Devlin Calypso get collected. Devlin hasn't pitted for his damage though. Diswood felt he needed to. Well, all very dramatic. Every time we looked at another incident, it seemed like 3 others were happening simultaneously there. 2 cars in up ahead. Both Nismo and Devlin. No, Nismo was just going for the slip. But Devlin has decided to make his pit stop after all. Decided the car isn't as nice to drive. I can back him on that. I don't like driving cars with damage. Never the best experience. Good battle for 3rd place as well. Chef Toddy and Xiaomi. For the time being, of course, the leading Porsches, with the demise of Diswood. Toddy doing very well thus far. Looked to be struggling a few weeks ago in the Trackstars touring cars in the wet at the Red Bull Ring, but I mean that's hardly something you can blame him for. He does seem to be a lot more competitive here in the Group 1 cars at Fuji, which is great to see. Eurox 22, our erstwhile race leader then, has practically been the only front runner to not find some form of grief out there. Punts is running around with damage. Diswood has had to pit to replace or repair parts on his cars after an incident that we didn't see. Let's check in on GT. Where is Justin now after that spin? He's down in 11th place. How far off approximately is he from the lead? Only about 10 seconds, so nowhere near a losing the win situation yet for Justin. But Pointed will be conscious that the ball is very much in his court at this stage. BMW not the strongest car at this circuit, but if he can wrangle performance out of it, then potentially a high podium and a win could yet be his. And of course, by extension, that'll be a trophy for Pit Lane Esports, as well as his teammate Brocker Lilly. That would be cause for much celebration. So 7 seconds being mentioned there by Enspud on the stream comments. He was 7 seconds clear of Little Blacko at the end of his stint. The gap at the moment is 6.3 seconds, so if we were able to do driver changes in the lobby race, please try and implement that for GT7, Polyphony. I'd be very excited about that. If that was possible, then we would have a situation at the moment where Lurox and Bunce were more or less wheel to wheel for the lead of the race. Bunce still just about holds the lead for the Mash Spuds Racing 32 car at the moment, but that gap between the two of them is eroding. Give it 2 or 3 more quick laps and Lurox may find himself holding the lead. Scotty gets in the way there. And look at that, the 7 seconds, the magic number, just like that, has come and gone. These are the pitfalls and complexities of endurance racing. The traffic is there to race too. And occasionally, it's a fact of life that they will bottle you up. And that's what happened there to Puntz. And Lurox 22 is now leading by over that magic 7-second figure. Coming for you there. With some dramas ending up on the AstroTurf. Lurox continuing to set decent times. Low 23s seems to be as good as it's getting for him at the moment. I'm sure we'll see him fall into the 22s as the fuel goes down. To 8 seconds. Meanwhile, this man leading GT disappointed. He will not be, as things currently stand. Telltale signs of a little bit of contact at the front of his car. You can see a little splintering of the paintwork just under the grille. Whether or not he assisted someone else into an incident, we don't know, but maybe just a little bit of argy-bargy off the line. It's easy done. Second and third place, Porsche and Corvette. The most competitive these two cars have looked so far here at Fuji. Corvette looming large in the mirrors of Psycho. Surely quicker in a straight line. There goes Pointed into the pits. Doesn't have any damage on the car, but have to assume this is a strategy call. Only a new set of boots. No fuel. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. What's the play here, then? I hope he didn't hit the no refuel button by accident. It's certainly an interesting strategy that he's got at the moment. GLR Scotty, currently 12th in the race, which would put him 5th in GT. Of course, that car was a way off in the last race, but some of the cars that are ahead of him didn't get to the finish of the race last time, courtesy of DC dramas. I don't think the Corvette was in the last race. Looks like his internet's a little bit sketchy as well, or at least his connection to me over here in the UK is, but that's of course a different matter. Nismo 86 in another of the RoboSport Toyotas. He currently runs in 6th position. Looks like he's doing a fairly solid job so far. Laps are a little bit inconsistent. 26s, 28s, 27s, kind of all over the place on lap time. But getting to grips with the car, and critically, is yet to have any particular incident or damage. Blue flags waving on the lead battle for GTs. Oh, that's a bit interesting for Psycho there. Moving in the braking zone right in front of Diswood. That will have been a slight raise of beats per minute in the old chest region. Bacala and Mix fighting for that GT lead. Meanwhile, Diswood looking to try and get back into the top 4 at the expense of Chef Toddy. In the Porsches, both looking fairly even at the moment. Toddy's doing a good job in this car. I do get the impression that Wood will dispatch him sooner rather than later. Gap between Psycho and Mickers has just slightly gone out. Nismo not feeling bold enough in the lapping there. Oh, he nearly put himself off track there. He's not confident in the traffic by the looks of it. Now has that given Mix a run? Oh, it looked like Psycho was on the dirt there. He certainly had to catch a big lump of oversteer. It looks like Mix is going to give him a bump draft. This isn't the Daytona 500, sir. I'd take advantage. Show a nose. Maybe given the CP Motorsports car was in the previous race and the Corvette wasn't, maybe Mix is feeling charitable on that basis, but I certainly would have made the move to the inside there. Very charitable, I must say. Toddy's still holding off Diswood. Meanwhile, Puntz, the gap has extended out to 12.5 seconds at the moment. So the rather war-wounded TS050 of the Mash Spuds Racing outfit is not quite showing the same pace, but it is wounded, of course. Lurox is just getting away fractionally, steadily, is into the 22s now. Fuel is, of course, going down, and tyre wear isn't so much of an issue under these regulations, so the pace does tend to get quicker in the second half of the stint. Lurox there, almost getting a nibble at the AstroTurf, but keeping himself fairly clean and tidy for the most part. Here comes Punts. Crossing the line now for a 1:24.5, so he's still doing relatively well out there. I'll credit him that he's doing a good job keeping that car consistent despite the damage. It can often be difficult to get your heads around the characteristics of effectively a broken car, but I don't think he needs me to tell you he's going to be seething at the wheel. Around the outside there of Scotty. Coming for you, currently at the back of the order. 47 car, which of course was third place at the end of the previous race within the GT category. I'm surprised that Dis Wood is yet to catch and pass Toddy, to be honest. I would expect, based on previous Trackstars form, that Dis Wood would be at an advantage, but 1:24 is not really the pace. Those front tyres burning away a bit as well. I'm wondering if maybe his head's a little out of the game after losing that lead. Interesting note there from N-Spud. Saying that Coming For You has been largely off Gran Turismo in the last few weeks, so these are very much exploratory laps. So maybe his form will tick up in the closing stages of the race. Toddy saw there just how good of a run he got off the corner. Really kind of left Dis Wood in the dust. Spud also giving us a warning to heed, as it were, letting us know that Puntz's pace in practice was very promising. We'll see if that translates to the race once he has a car back up to 100%. Is this the moment where Dis Wood claims fourth place? The Shaden Racing Team Porsche is looking slightly wide, I must say. The CP car there almost found itself facing the wrong way there, just nibbling on the AstroTurf. Meanwhile, Puntz is into pit lane. We'll see where he comes out relative to Dis Wood, actually. That will be very interesting because, of course, Dis Wood was in the lead before he was struck down with damage. I think Puntz has been going quicker on the balance of things since the pit stop for Dis Wood. So where will he come out relative to these two dueling Porsches? Looks like he's out behind the both of them. Yes, just coming out of pit lane there at the top of the screen. So he's about 5 seconds or so off of Dis Wood. Toddy under immense pressure. They've caught up to Scotty. There's contact. There's damage for Diswood. The splitter has splintered. And, well, Toddy's lost the place. But critically, his car is clear of any damage. Diswood, though, got right into the back of the 911. And Wood has splitter damage. No damage on Scotty's car by the looks of it, which is a very lucky break if that is the case. Very lucky indeed, if you ask me. Psycho all on his own at the front of the order in GT, and that's because his closest rival, the Corvette of Miquez, is into pit lane. The Robo Sport car with heavy Elite Brake and mechanical branding is into pit road. Xiaomi running second for the time being, of course, with pit stops underway. Diswood has continued on despite his splitter damage, so we'll see how his pace is affected this time by. Of course, the 125 last time not representative, because that's where the incident happened. Up the inside of Pointed. And look at Punts, who's already passed Toddy. We can see on the left side of the screen that he's closing and closing on Diswood. Wood is not going to pit by the looks of it. Punts no longer walking wounded, has the hammer down. Justin with a swarm of prototypes around him right now in the Aston. He'll probably be less than comfortable. Closing in, homing in on the back of the blue and white Porsche. Of course, that Porsche was only 20 seconds off of Punts at the conclusion of that first stint. So, of course, it was Enspud at the wheel. Huso at the wheel of the Porsche, which has now dropped the position. See there not only that the Porsche is a slower car in a straight line, but you can also see that the that particular example of the 919 is rather been knocked out of alignment. Lurox 22 with no such issues at the head of the order, 43 seconds clear now. So as it stands, this is the leading car both within this segment of the race and the race itself, but of course does owe a pit stop. He will surely be two-stopping. I don't think it's possible to get a one-stop out of the prototypes here. Started with a full tank after all. He'll probably end up pitting with about an hour and 10 to go if he runs it to the bottom of the tank. Lerox leading the way by, as we say, just over 40 seconds. Gap's probably about 42 seconds in actuality between Punts and Lerox at the moment, but as we've said, pit stops null and void that. Fastest lap of the race for Punts. Last time by a 22.4, which is getting to the apex of the pace in the previous race as well. It's about what we saw as good race pace last time. Leading car is in the GT class. There we see it, the CP Motorsports Porsche number 18, the sister car effectively to the Diswood Porsche 919. Scotty is also in, so clearly this is where the Porsches drink the last of their fuel at 23. He has come out directly ahead of Mix in the big Corvette. How interesting. These two were fighting for the lead of class before their pit stops. They found themselves doing much the same again after their pit stops. Justin still has a couple of laps in the tank. Will he use them? Again, on fuel, it looks unlikely that he is going to be on a one stop. In fact, it's an impossibility, let's be honest. Can't do that in a 2-hour race. Of course, I'm thinking of the 90-minute race earlier on, so it's neither here nor there. Pointed back in for the second time. This time will need fuel. Where will he come out relative to Bacala and Mix? He's going to be a way off. Punts there with a little bit of a sideways moment by the looks of it. He has been pushing hard. He's just pushing too hard now. A couple of mistakes in a row. Is our leading driver Lerox then, and per the request from N-Spud in the chat, let's hop on board with Lerox as he closes in on Nismo in the fellow RoboSport Toyota. Hopefully there won't be too much drama between the two of them. Braking zone, where is it? Just before the curb into T1. Yellow flags out. Not sure why. Didn't see anything imminent, but there have been some yellow flag issues since the update, so c'est la vie on that front. The big sweeping right-hander really scrubs the tyres. And you've got to immediately set up for this left, which is so difficult on the power, exemplified there by Lerox. He's passed his teammate. Oh, but he misjudges Scotty there. Scotty, not sure really. I think that was more a racing incident than anything, but I'm not sure who was miscommunicating with who, but I think it was just a general miscommunication between the two of them. Nonetheless, Lerox very lucky to get away without damage as he goes through this complex final section. Out of the final corner. It's so easy to end up on the AstroTurf there. We saw that a few times in the last race. See what Justin 930 is doing in terms of a pit stop, because he surely owes us one. And it looks as though V12 has taken a mighty chug already. You can see him short shifting there. Is he doing one more lap? Gutsy, but it looks as though he is. So let's ride on board with him for a lap in the GT car as well, of course, immediately. Much slower down the straight. I think he's on a rather tight fuel map as well, to be fair. Earlier on the brakes, of course. This is a very tricky corner to master. The second proper turn of the lap. Just about get away with using that green AstroTurf or green runoff on the inside. But it is a fine line to take in terms of penalties, so Justin there was a little more careful. A little easier, I find, this corner in a GT than a prototype to launch out onto the back straight that's not straight, but still can be tricky. Third gear flick here at the bottom end of the circuit. Of course, we're not using the chicane. It's important to be flowing here, get a good run off of that initial right. Go wide here to set yourself up for the left. And then you've got to judge. If you've got someone close behind you here, you really need to go defensive, but the optimum is a wide line. Bit of a missed apex there from Justin, who will surely be in this time. Pitward bound indeed is V12 Vantage. Interesting to see where he comes out relative to the rest of the GT order. Fastest lap of, well, personal best lap of the race from Lurox last time by. He's clearly pushing the limits here. Meanwhile, Xiaomi still second within the context of this second portion of the race, but only by 1.4 seconds. Punts is closing up. Let's see the GT battle here. Here's Psycho and Niquez in the Corvette. Out comes Justin. It's going to be very close indeed. Justin's going to have the inside line. He's also going to have cold tyres. The top three in GT in the same shot. Unfortunately, Mix has exited stage left there, running it wide in the slipstream. Just misjudged his braking, but Psycho all over the back of Justin. The GT lead scrap. The Porsche looking to try and go all the way around the outside. Isn't going to be able to achieve that. Justin's tyres should be just about up to temp now. Nix is going to be hoping that these two scrap with each other so he can get back involved in the battle. Justin then just holding station ahead of Psycho for the time being. Of course, he had that error in the early going that cost him the lead of the class, but he stayed consistent, kept his nose clean, and he now has the lead back, but only by the finest of margins. Xiaomi in the pits means that Punts is once again second on track. Lurox's fuel, I think, is more a social construct than a reality at this point. He's almost empty. At the moment, he should come out comfortably ahead of Punts. I don't think he's done enough to one-stop it. I can't see that fuel getting another 13 minutes, another 10 minutes. risky one stop for the LMPs. This event has been branded. Continues at least one more lap. Can't imagine he's got more than 2 laps in that car before having to pit. Justin just steadily building an advantage over Psycho to the lead in GT, although most of that advantage has just been eaten away by that little error. But then the slipstream from the prototype and the pull of that Aston V12. You actually see the gap starting to go up again as he continues. So Psycho in P9 at the moment in the overall. More importantly, second in the GT race. That should put him right in the contention for a podium in the GT class as well. I'm not too certain of the exact maths on that. But one would expect to see him surpass potentially the coming for you Aston. Oh, it's just got tagged in a big way by Diswood. Diswood, I think, still hasn't fixed his damage from earlier, but he's probably worsened it there. Lurox 22 is in the pits. Full tank of fuel hath been applied. Gap between he and Punts looks like it's going to be somewhere in the region of a dozen seconds, all told. Sure enough, it evens out at about 11 seconds. Punts then will now be a man on a mission. This effectively means that Lurox is leading the race for Robosport, leading the race for the 22 crew by about 3 seconds. So Punts is going to do his best impression of a scalded cat these next few laps in order to close in. A 22.1 last time by, his quickest lap of the race, so he's put the afterburners on in the Toyota. Gap is coming down in quite a significant way. In comes Diswood, I believe. No, that was Devlin Calypso coming in the Toyota from the back of the prototype order. Diswood walking wounded, unfortunately. How wounded? Let's see when he crosses the line what kind of lap he can do with that mangled front end. He's decided that's enough. He's not going to one-stop from, well, yeah, he could one-stop from here, but he's not going to make it to the end of the race from here, is what I've been trying to say. An hour and 8 minutes, I think, is too much to ask. So he's going to have to make one more stop. This has been a difficult race for Wood. Just running it a bit wide there, has gained the better part of a second on this lap over Lurox. A lot of sideways there though. Won't cost him too much. Lurox 22, currently our race leader, the number 22 RoboSport Toyota, piloted by Lurox 22 and Little Blacko. Currently, the leaders across the two segments of the Fuji 4 hours. But there's a big caveat on that. The caveat is that the Mash Spuds Racing Toyota is closing in at a rate of knots. The gap down to 8.7. Mind you that it's just over 7 seconds at the end of that first segment between Puntz's Toyota and Lurox's Toyota. Of course, N-Spud taking the win within that first segment by just over 7 seconds. Lurox currently leading the race here by just over 8 seconds. His teammate, his crew, RoboSport himself, will all be watching with bated breath, as will N-Spud. .121.849 last time across the line from Puntz. He is a man on a mission. Oh, a little bit squirrely there. This is some great driving. As suggested by N-Spud, his true pace was somewhat masked in that first race, or that first stint, I should say. Due to that damage, Puntz now showing his full deck of cards. And look at that, the gap, 6.9 seconds. So at this stage, Puntz is leading the race for his team across the two events, across the two stints, I should say, or the two segments, however you want to put it. The 32 car, the Mash Spuds machine, is now our race leader. So the gap between the two cars was just over 7 seconds, literally just a few thousandths of a second over 7 seconds at the end of that last race. So at the moment, it's 1.5 seconds to the good for Puntz. Car. Chef Toddy, meanwhile, running in P6. Seems to be hanging on nicely. Still only 5 seconds down the road from Diswood, who of course sharing some real estate with him a little while ago. Sandwiched at the moment between the two leaders out there on circuit. Here is Diswood, who has a undamaged car for the first time in a while. Doesn't seem to be setting the world alight on pace at the moment. He is closing in on Nismo, though. And look at this for the GT lead. Justin and Psycho. Psycho is back through. Justin, of course, held the lead after the pit stop. In terms of the actual race across the two 2-hour events, or the 90 minutes and the 2 hours it is today, we have the main battle really is between the Aston on our screen and the BMW behind them. Of disappointed. Oh, Psycho with a 1 second penalty. That's going to prove costly. Here comes Nismo. There's Diswood as well. Lots of traffic, lots of drama. Penn's only adding to it. Hopefully he has the memo about serving pens in this league, a little different from some others. But as it stands, the BMW would need to be the better part of 45 seconds clear. 44.5 seconds clear. And, disappointing would have to be over Justin come the end of the race, which at the moment seems a little bit unlikely. Psycho serving his penalty. Oh, and will lose the lead in class for the time being. There goes Chef Toddy, weaving his way through. Puntz has got past Toddy seemingly untroubled. Right on board with the Porsche of Psycho. Some information coming in from the pit lane, courtesy of combined pit reporter and driver N-Spud. If you want to translate that from fantasy to real life, he's got the Discord open and I don't. But unfortunately, coming for you, has had to retire due to throttle issues, so I'm guessing that's a pedal on his rig that is coming unstuck. And look at this, it's becoming a three-way battle in GT. Pointed has been putting in the laps and is now right there with Psycho. Now he'll want to find his way past the Porsche and challenge that Aston, even though an overtake on track on the Aston of course wouldn't affect the final results as it stands. If the pit lane esports driver can pressure the Aston, who knows? Justin has already dropped it once. If he can pressure him into further mistakes, pit lane esports could walk away with the biggest trophy of all in the GT class. And look at this on track. Lurox has been thoroughly closed in upon by Puntz. The lead of the overarching 4-hour or 3.5-hour race is now firmly with the Mash Spuds number 32 car. Meanwhile, in terms of this 2-hour segment, Puntz is now able to challenge Lurox, and look at that lap time, a 1:21.687. Great driving from Puntz this. That is some side-by-side racing. Lurox and Puntz there. Puntz getting a little bit sideways. He's going to take the lead, I think. No, Lurox holding steady. And Puntz Deciding discretion, the better part of Valor. Lurox there, surely going to cop a pen. No, he got very lucky. The track limits seem more lenient there. There's Scotty. 19 being put another lap down. Punt's not finding it so easy to get around the RoboSport racing car. And that's well within the rights of the driver. Within the context of this race, they are full-on racing. And so while there is an element of gamesmanship to defending and making it hard for punts within the overarching race, he's well within his rights to defend his position. It's an interesting game of chess being played at 200 miles an hour by these teams. So it'll be 4th place, potentially, for the Gridline Racing outfit in the Porsche, given the Mashed Spuds Racing Aston Martin have come in for you is out of the race. Lurox there getting wide. Guessing that was a bit of snap oversteer. I only saw him on the runoff. Lurox just holding on. We ride on board with punts. I would say he's watching with popcorn in hand, but I think he's got both hands on the wheel. Lurox and punts at close quarters. Oh, just getting a bit of a very good run out of the corner, but had to lift out of the throttle to avoid the rear end of the RoboSport Toyota. Xiaomi in the pits out of 3rd place within the context of the race. And Punt's not making a move into T1, not close enough. He's going to play it cool here. Of course, the other thing to consider is that Punts will pit before Lurox, one would think. Oh, Lurox there on the grass. We'll check in with the GT battle in just a minute, but we want to follow the proceedings here in the overall lead for the time being. Oh, Punt's getting sideways there. That will have been a breathless moment for N-Spud, for Punts himself, and everyone supporting the Mashed Spuds racing crew. He's well within slip. He's closing and closing. He's looking to the inside. He's got a nose ahead into turn 1. He's managed to keep the inside line, but he's had to give Lurox the outside. Just got a full car ahead now. That's critical for Punts. That was very well managed. He didn't take any unnecessary risk in his efforts to, well, very few unnecessary risks in his efforts to get past Lurox, but he's now done it. And just look at how quickly he's made up almost 3/4 of a second. I don't think he's going to have any trouble behind him for the foreseeable. So Justin 9:30 leading the race. Last lap was his quickest, a 1:35.5. That's a good time for the Aston. Pointed there in 2nd place, 4.3 off, so he's losing time. Aston there having to serve a penalty though up ahead. I might actually be coming for you. Yes, it is coming for you. Is he back on circuit? Yes, he is. Okay, that's interesting. That opens things up for 4th place a bit, doesn't it? If he's back on track, 4th place within the overarching race could yet be disputed. We've also seen Mix drop quite heavily through the order. Not sure what's happened to him. But he's currently on track there with Scotty. And at the moment, Coming For You will hold on to P4. Off the rest of his penalty there, but at the moment Scotty, well, sorry, getting myself mixed up. Coming For You will hold on to P4 at the moment, so long as he can keep the car going, so long as his hardware doesn't hurt him anymore, then he should be able to retain 4th place since he's only 33 seconds off the back of Scotty. And Scotty needs 4 laps clear of the Aston to take the place away. But Mix then has clearly had some dramas in the Corvette, that he's down there in P11 and a minute off of Psycho. Of course, those two were fighting for the lead of the class for much of the early stages of this race. Devlin Calypso just making his way through the traffic there, the Belgian driver. Chef Toddy's in the pit lane at the moment with quite severe damage. Look at that engine damage, front splitter damage. That could prove critical. There was a lap between Toddy Xiaomi, I believe, at the end of that last race. Oh, Toddy just running it wide there. Mix has done the same and almost collects the Porsche. The gridline Porsche did very lucky to survive that in the foreground of that shot. But Toddy with damage there, he's going to have to worry more about this car. Xiaomi in the 34 may yet bring himself and Brandosa another position. Brandosa, of course, a part of the winning crew in the Bathurst 1000 event for the Group 2 Trackstars Touring Car spec machines last year. Hasn't quite showed the same form yet in the Endurance Series. But with time, I suspect that he will embed himself into the 919 a little better. Gap between the top two, 4.3 seconds. Puntz is driving away now. That gives the team a total of 11 seconds over this car, the RoboSport 22. And it's definitely worth continuing to build, continuing to create that cushion for Puntz. You could argue, well, why not just stay behind and, you know, take it easy? Well, the catch with that is that if he does make an error, or indeed if someone else makes an error and collects him, then suddenly he'll find himself in a very vulnerable position. So if he can get himself 15 or 20 seconds to play with rather than 7 or less, then by all means he should do it. And right now, Puntz is the pace man on the circuit. N-Spud very generous in admitting Punce's pace far superior to his at the moment here at Fuji, and was in practice as well by the sounds of it. Scotty under a lot of pressure from Mix here. Doesn't have any impact, of course, on the overarching results across the two races. But Mix is still fighting. Looks to be having a good time in the Corvette. Scotty almost out of fuel. I imagine he might do one more lap by the looks of that gauge. Oh, the big vet sliding its tail. In. No, looks as though we're going to get one more lap out of the Porsche. Corvette there. Just keeping its driver honest, keeping its driver on his toes, let's say. Scotty and Mix having a good little fight here. Porsche is near as makes no difference out of petrol, so he'll be in this time, surely. We'll continue to follow these two until such time as the Porsche does come in. Just a clip of the corner marker there from Mix. C7, the last of the front-engine Corvettes for now at least. Maybe they'll do a front-engine Corvette again in the future. But the C8 is, of course, a mid-engine, mid-riff machine. Oh, Mix has to be careful there. Scotty into the pit lane. Get himself a fill-up. Lurox there with a little bit of a cross moment there. 121.6 last time for Punce, who's also running low on fuel. Now, N-Spud said 45 minutes will mean he's safe in terms of getting to the end. So from any point on, he should be able to get to the end of the race and not worry about his fuel once he fills it up again. Didn't come in this time. I expect he might be in at the end of this lap. 8 seconds, the gap between he and Lurox. We know that Lurox is going to have to come in again. Wood, meanwhile, running a lap behind in the CP Motorsports car. Oh, but the contact between the teammates, the sister cars of CP Motorsports. Psycho comes out on cold tyres and almost takes the 919 out with him. And that would have been much less than a picnic. There is a little park area there, just further up from turn 1, but I don't think that would have been a welcome place for either of them. Quite the moment between them. This would be breathing a sigh of relief. No damage either on the Porsche, one would think, and confirmed. The 18 car lives to fight another day, having just come out of the pit lane, so we'll see how that affects the GT battle. The gap between Justin and Pointed is out to well over 30 seconds. Looks as though Pointed was in the pits just a couple of laps ago. Indeed, the fresh tyres say the same thing. Lurox 22 through into the lead in prototype, and that is because this car is in punts. With what should be, in theory, the final service for the Mash Spuds Racing outfit. As of now, he's doing more than enough to claim victory for himself and N-Spud. There's still a long way to go. So at the moment, it's posited that car 18 might be third in class at the moment, with the dramas for Coming For You. Benjo, though, will be about, or rather the Gridline Racing number 19 should be about 4 laps off, given they are on the same lap and there was a big gap between them. I think it's 3-4 laps between the 19 and the 47 in the 47's favour, so 19 car will be down in 5th and will probably stay there for the rest of the race. So Coming For You only a lap off, so clearly didn't lose too much time with his brake pedal issues. I'm wondering if, or throttle pedal issues, wasn't it? I'm wondering if potentially he's maybe moved on to a DS4. That could be one way of salvaging. But since there's only 1 lap lost, he should still be on course for a comfortable P4 at least, but where is he relative to P3? Let's take a look at the results again. There was a lap between the two of them. My best math and guesstimation tells me that for now, Psycho should be ahead, just for 3rd place in GT, but I will defer to the superior intellect of It's Racing. Who is currently manning the Trackstars account, if that wasn't clear. It's Racing making those comments on the stream, not me. I don't have that level of ability to type and... Well, not with this setup anyway. I don't have the ability to type and commentate at the same time effectively. Psycho Bacala has been running well so far in this race. He's been right in the midst of a fair few scraps. I don't think the CP Motorsports driver is going to accuse this of being a boring race anytime soon. Pointed 36 seconds off the back of Justin. Justin definitely has the superior pace, but Pointed very consistent out there. Mighty Aston running in P8 as it stands. So Justin, at the moment, looks fairly comfortable on his way to victory here. Will effectively be about a lap ahead on time. Let's look at this battle within prototype then. Larox 22, our current race leader, both on track and in the overarching race, but of course that is because he is yet to pit. Once he is pitted, one would suspect that he'll be clear of any dramas. Bit wide there, of course. If he was to really put in a hammer of a stint and do a splash and dash towards the end, Lerox could still be a factor in this overall overarching race, but he's on older tyres and he just hasn't had the same pace as Punts to this point. So if you were a betting man, I think the money would go on this car, but look at that lap a couple of laps ago, a 24.9, indicative of a small error somewhere for Punts. So he's not infallible, no one is. Even the best drivers in the league can make errors here and there. So nothing settled at this stage. That said, Diswood seems very comfortable in P3 at this point. He has a significant buffer over everyone else. He's a lap behind the top two, so it's going to be a fairly solid, if uneventful, drive to P3, I think, for Wood in this last half hour. Of course, the first hour or so of the race was all events for Diswood. Every turn, every lap was an event. Lots of dramas, some damage on the way as well. What is the gap between 4th and 6th? Xiaomi may yet have a stake over 4th place here. I think at the moment 4th will just about still be with it's 4th place to Chef Toddy. I'm sure It's Racing will correct me if I'm wrong, but it won't be by much. Into the pits comes Justin 930 meanwhile in the Vantage. Back out onto circuit. Oh, but I didn't spot that. The BMW right there with him. Pointed, who pitted a few laps ago, has reclaimed the GT lead. There's a prototype in amongst their ranks. So the GT lead within this segment of the race now belongs to the BMW once more. Pointed putting in a stellar drive here in the pit lane esports BMW, but of course at the moment Justin will still lead the way within the GT category. In the overarching race, he and It's Racing, an effective team, and It's of course with a very good drive earlier on, has given a bit of a cushion to Justin, so it's not imperative that he finds a way past the BM. But something tells me that Justin is the kind of racer who's going to want to act on that anyway. Oh, a bit twitchy there for coming for you, who is in a bit of an on-track battle himself. Coming for you and Scotty. Wow, very interesting stat coming from Glenn D on the comments there, that Psycho is brand new to sim racing, has only been doing it for about a month. That's very surprising. He's showing great form. So a newcomer to the sim racing world. Glenn, if you know, I mean, does he race in real life? Because he's seemingly got a good handle on what he's doing. A bit deep into T1 there, but manages to make the best out of it. The CP Motorsports team seem to have found a newcomer with some serious potential then. Looks like Punts was on the pause menu there. Now, why was that? Did he have something to say to somebody? Nothing came up in the messages. It certainly looked like he was paused for a minute there, and he's lost a couple of seconds as a result. Like Pointed is actually getting to drive away a little bit from Justin, only by fractions, but it looks as though he's got better pace at the moment. Has also got a much lighter fuel tank. Is that BMW fuel to the end? I think he'd just about make it. Justin is probably running more fuel than he needs, is he not? I'll defer to the experts. But I think Pointed might get to the end on that. Be marginal at the end, I think, but I think he'll get there. Gap between Punts steady at about 31 seconds at the moment. The heavier fuel load and some dramas making things a little harder for Punts than they need be. Of course, with every passing lap, the length of this man Lurox's pit stop will shrink. Had a bit of a poor last lap, a 23.9. But he had been in the 23s and high 22s before that, so let's see what this lap brings. I don't think it's going to bring a pit stop, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see what he does. Okay, so Disappointed is going to have to pit again by the looks of it. Look at that car now. Disappointed is going to have to come in by the looks of it. Justin has lost a lot of time there. He's suddenly dropped 7 or 8 seconds back, and look at that, 1:42 last time by, so he's clearly had some sort of moment there. And the thing is, if he keeps having moments and Pointed only needs a splash and dash, then things could get interesting. Although, of course, Pointed would need to be a good, 45 seconds or so up the road at the end of the race to challenge for the It's Racing Esports victory on behalf of Pit Lane Esports. So, still Justin in the pound seat realistically across the overarching 3.5-hour race as it is. However, I think he'll take pride in winning his own segment. And so he'll want to keep it steady from here on out to make sure that he can do so. Getting a bit wide there. I heard some skidding there. Not sure who that was. It was Chef Toddy, I think. Making the tyres sing. This is just holding equidistant at the moment with Lerox. Not setting the world alight on pace. Diswood very gentlemanly there. Allowing the inside for punts. Look at that, fuel in the red for Lerox. He's only got 1 or 2 more laps out there on circuit. Maybe he'll even pit this time. Decides to stay out for another lap. Of course, again, every single lap he can do on low fuel will be, you know, fairly quick. It's worth doing because the tyre wear is so minuscule. What that does mean, as well as being quicker on this lightweight fuel load, of course, is that he will have to fill less. So if he can get another lap out of it and stay quick, then by all means he should. Max 22 could yet be a factor in this race. A reminder, the gap between punts and, rather, the gap between end spud and Little Blacko in the first race was 7 seconds in the advantage of Spud. So in order to take this race, Lerox needs to be 7 seconds clear of punts. At the moment, that seems like a bit of an ask. As it stands, you'd think he'd come out just behind punts after his pit stop. But then you've got what will probably be about 20 minutes for things to unfold. And who really knows which way it will go. There's Mix in the Corvette. He's had a solid run. Of course, challenging for the lead with Psycho in the early going. There is Psycho. The sim racing newcomer making quite the impression. Very consistent laps as well, considering his relative inexperience. Very impressed. Just in 9:30, 7.5 seconds clear of, or 7.5 seconds back from disappointed at this point. Pointed, unfortunately, has a penalty, which he'll have to serve here on the straight. Sure enough, peels off to do so. Lerox 22, meanwhile, has come into pit lane. So this is critical stuff for this car. Punts at the wheel of the Mash Spuds Racing Toyota. We ride on board. We should see him past the RoboSport Toyota. And there it is. There is the RoboSport Toyota. They're going to be almost side by side. Oh, just running deep into the corner is Lurox 22. And that's just allowed Punts through. Oh, bit of a moment there with Psycho trying to get out of the way. Punts has just done enough to lead the race on track. That means he's more or less 8 or 9 seconds clear within the overall race for the number 32 Mash Spuds entry. Nismo Oz there in 5th place, doing a solid job in the other Mash Spuds car, getting out of the way there at the top 2. Oh, but Punts has made an error from the get-go. Lurox is going to be smelling blood. And look at that, he's through. Punts there, so sideways. He's definitely feeling the pressure here. He needs to try and take a deep breath now on this long straight. He has room to probably do a stretch, maybe even grab a cup of tea before he gets to the braking zone for turn 1, but he needs to get his head back in this game. He can't afford to lose more than 6 more seconds over the course of this next 20 minutes. Strap in, ladies and gentlemen. I think this is going to be a very interesting 21 minutes of racing. If you haven't already subscribed to the Trackstars YouTube channel, I suggest you do so for more racing action. The GT traffic is causing dramas, more dramas. I'm going to be bald at the end of this. Lurox 22 just got crossed up there at the back of Justin 930. And that's given Punts a little bit back from what he lost on that previous lap. Let's check in with the car that's just about to get lapped. Pointed. He's got 5.5 seconds over the Aston. And he's got, frankly, not enough petrol. He's going to have to pit at some point. But still, second place in the overall race, the 3.5 hour, as it is courtesy of those issues, should go to him. He's in the pits this time. And second place should be fairly comfortably going to the Pit Lane Esports crew at the end of this. Mix comes out just behind the top 2. And Punts is on the hunt. I think he's recalibrated. Oh, we know that Pointed will have to pit. Don't worry, Spud. Just seen it happen. I'm aware you wrote that comment before, don't worry. Punts well within the slip and within striking range of Lurox. With any luck, this is now going to be the point where Punts starts to apply pressure to Lurox. He felt the pressure from Lurox there when the RoboSport car appeared right alongside him out of pit lane. But it does look as though Punts is now the applicant of pressure, receiving it. 18 minutes of racing to go. 7 seconds between these two cars when they started the race. It's still about 7 seconds now. If you want to be technical about it, it's about 6.6. Oh, Punts there, just getting a wheel on the AstroTurf. Very well held, heart thoroughly in mouth. Intestines potentially somewhere down by the ankles as well. That was a true moment. A heart stopper, a fist clencher, just about everything in between. There's Spud confirming what we already knew. That the pride of this second segment win is certainly going to pump Punts up further to try and get past Lurox. Lurox's cousin. DX Light Plays. Nice to have you, buddy, watching along. Lurox currently leading the way. But simply leading and winning this race is not enough. He needs to build a 7-second gap over Punts to take it for his team here across the two races. Look at this, argy-bargy, side on side, little bit of rubbing. But it is Lurox who continues to hold the lead at the moment. He doesn't need a battle with Punts. He needs the opportunity to get away from Punts. And that is exactly what Punts will know. That's exactly why he's not letting that happen. There's no point hedging your bets on simply taking the mathematical win by 4 or 5 seconds. Pressure him, make it difficult. Great driving between the two. Lurox just getting a wheel on the grass. But nothing too dramatic just yet. There, still running P3 within this race in the Pit Lane Esports 911. Good job from him. Punts firmly in the slip as they head down the straight into T1. Is he going to look to the inside? Looks as though he is. Late call to look to the inside, but not close enough. Oh, Punts' car looks a little bit hairier out of some of these corners. Some bartering and nudging of elbows between the two team managers, Robosport and Spud. Two team custodians, if you prefer. They have, of course, both driven in the earlier race. Nice to see that competitive spirit between the two teams. A friendly rivalry. Lurox and Punts certainly not thinking about the friendly element of that rivalry at the moment. Coming for you is going to be a cork in the bottle here between the two. Oh, gets a bit sideways. Always a most terrifying moment when someone ahead of you that's a back, pardon me, that's a back marker ends up having a squirrely moment. Lurox is going to have the most clenched cheeks in all of Japan at the moment. Punts firmly in the slip, goes to the outside, interestingly. Later on the brakes, marginally too, by the looks of it. Lurox, oh, giving him absolutely no room, no quarter. None taken, none given. Indeed, Punts' tyres are older, as very well pointed out by Benjo there in the comments. But you do have to think that as this 13.5 minutes progresses, that car's going to get harder and harder to drive. However, Lurox is certainly not going to be comfortable either. Yes, the tyres will be okay, but he's going to be having pressure applied. I don't think worn tyres are going to stop Punts from applying pressure, but he gets into the side of the BMW there. The Pit Lane Esports BMW, untroubled and undamaged from that, but nonetheless, all contact between the two of them, side by side. And Punts has got through, but in interesting circumstances. Let's look back to this. Punts there just taps the side of the BMW, then into the final corner. He makes the move. Well, he doesn't really give Lurox room there. That may be looked upon harshly. harm, no foul. At least both cars on track for the time being, so in that regard it's okay. Lurox just starting, it seems, to crack a little bit here. He's made a few errors. He's now got a penalty. He's managed to peel the penalty away before the straight. But still, look at how the scene has changed here. Suddenly, Punts is not only ahead, but he's 2.5 seconds clear. That gives them an aggregate lead of about 9.5 seconds. And that is more than comfortable for Punts at this stage. Over the course of the next 11 minutes, I'm anticipating that Lurox will close in again on the fresher tyres. And no doubt he will challenge. And given the precedent just set by Punts, not only will he challenge, but he'll challenge hard. So yes, Punts is in the pound seat for now, but anything could happen over the course of the next 11 minutes. Justin there making it fairly easy for Lurox, but Lurox has again gone wide. He shouldn't pick up a pen for that, but he's getting scraggly. Just looking back to Xiaomi. Been running solidly all race long here. 4th place at the moment within this race. Better part of a lap clear of Chef Toddy. Toddy there, getting a little bit shaky, but he's having a good run in the Shaden Racing Team Porsche. Oh, another penalty just applied to Lurox. So that'll be more track limits coming out of turn 2, where it is so easy to cop a pen. He peels it away here. Fortunately, oh, and again another error. I think Lurox may have just cracked it. I think that moment between he and Punts, which is dividing opinion in the chat. I have an opinion, but I'll remain impartial. Regardless of what you think, that incident has clearly provided something of a mental roadblock to Lurox. 9 minutes left to go, and 5.6 seconds between the two cars. It's going to take a big error from Punts, or a feat of driving hitherto unseen from Lurox. And that is only, of course, to bring them back together again. If Lurox wants to take the win for Robosport, car number 22, across the race, he has to be 7 seconds clear. And I think at this stage, that is an unlikely prospect. The gap is only extending between the two cars as well. Look at that last lap, a 22.2 from Punts. It looked for a while like he was just starting to lose control a bit, Punts, but he refocused, and his head is now firmly in the game. Punts. Just getting loose. A lap further back from the dramas at the front. Diswood is again rather settled into the second half of the race. Hasn't been setting quick laps in quite a while. On the 128 at the moment, which isn't the speed we expect from Diswood, but nonetheless, he will bring the car home to an overall rostrum. Should be good for the CP team. And Xiaomi may well smell blood here in terms of this segment of the race. 11.5 seconds between them. But he seems to be lapping between 2 and 4 seconds a lap faster, so maybe, just maybe, the 34 car can be on the podium in the second segment here. Nismo running P5. Further lap down on any of that. 20 car wasn't out with us, I don't think, in the first half of the race, if memory serves me correctly. So this will be inconsequential, really, to the overall standings, but still good to see Nismo out there, and he's had a clean, solid run, kept his nose clean. Toddy has fallen back to 6th place then. That last lap of 1:38 suggests that the mistake was made somewhat recently, which is unfortunate. He's got damage as well. Front and front right suspension damage. Xiaomi in the pits with no fuel. Well, never mind the podium then. I didn't spot the empty tank. He must have got there with fumes left. Julian, to answer the question frankly, not up to me. The penalty system won't penalise that immediately. If there is a penalty, it will come afterwards when the stewards look at the race. So regardless of whether I think there's a penalty or not, it's not going to be applied until afterwards anyway, if there is a penalty. So it's not really pertinent right now. What will be will be. If the stewards think there is a penalty, then it will be applied, but that won't be applied until hours or a couple of days from now. And certainly shouldn't be encouraging people ramming other drivers, so that's the last I'll say on that. Punts clears Xiaomi, who now has some petrol in the car, which is more than could be said for a couple of moments ago. 8.2 seconds between Lurox and Punts at this stage, so Lurox losing time still. Looks like it's going to be about 20 seconds maybe at the end of this. 22.4 though, quickest lap of the day from Lurox, so he's showing his hand again. Yellow flag up ahead, who's it for? Apparently it's for nobody. Although I think maybe Xiaomi had a bit of a moment actually looking at it. He was with Punts, so I think maybe Xiaomi dipped a wheel into the grass or something. Toyota's four-wheel drive being used there by Lurox as he closes in on Xiaomi. Xiaomi usually makes it easy, and he does again. Good driving from Porsche competitor. Let's check in on the GTs. Here's Justin leading the way by 27 seconds. Will give a significant winning advantage, about 1 minute and 10 as it stands, between Justin and Disappointed, between It's Racing Esports and Pit Lane Esports in the GT class. There goes Punts around the outside there, very confidently dipping a wheel onto the AstroTurf there. Mix there. Just going a bit wide. May have scared Lurox a little bit there. This man, though, Punts, heading on to the final lap now. With a comfortable advantage over Lurox. Still setting very fast lap times. I think he's going to go for fastest lap on the final lap, you know. Especially now that he's got a purple split in Sector 1. And a clear road ahead of him as well, critically. Lurox is going to take it to second. A noble performance from both he and Little Blacko today. Though it must be said that both drivers looked a little slower than the Match Spuds guys over the course of the respective races. Now, no doubt the incident on the exit of the final corner will be looked at by the stewards. But regardless of that, at least provisionally, victory will go to Punts. Punts and the Mash Spuds racing team, with a very well executed race, crossed the line to take victory. The pseudo-factory colours of Toyota at the home race for the brand. Lurox crosses the line to make it a 1-2 for Toyota. We've already had Wood across the line. Xiaomi crosses the line in 4th. We've also seen Nismo cross the line in P6. There's Chef Toddy. Great race from him. And just across the line to take the win in GT is the Aston Martin of Justin 930. Great drive from Justin. 9th place is going to go the way of this man, second in GT to Disappointed, second in GT to both him and Broccolilli across the 4 hour, I should say. Psycho Bacala has already crossed the line for 3rd in class within this race, I believe also 3rd in class within GT in the overarching race. So that's a very good job. Well, great racing. Robbo Sport there. Saying that Punts was the faster driver today, deserving the win. Congratulating the Mash Spuds drivers on their win today, which is great to see. Good stuff, Robbo Sport. Great driving from everyone today. A few incidents here or there, as is par for the course in multi-class racing, but we Really do think the world of these drivers for holding it together. Lots of collaboration and cooperation between the GT and LMP drivers and between other drivers within the same class as well in lap traffic situations. And of course, they will do it all again next month. But massive congratulations to the It's Racing Esports drivers, to Justin 930 and It's Racing for taking the GT win. And a huge congratulations, of course, to the Mashed Spuds. To Punts and to N-Spud for their victory today, and congratulations to Lurox and to Little Blacko for second place. That was a very good drive from them as well, and I think possibly the team of the day on balance, the Pit Lane Esports guys, between that one stop for Broccolilli and Disappointed's great performance in this second race. I think those two did a very good job indeed, and should be commended for the effort that they put in. And a word as well to Psycho Bacala, securing third place for his team in GT. And a month into sim racing, that is quite the performance so early in his sim racing career. We look forward to seeing great things from him, hopefully, in the future. Just before we close off the stream, I'm just checking where we'll be next time. The next round is in May. It's 2 months pause, I should say, then. The Race of America, another 4-hour race. And it'll be at Laguna Seca. So Laguna Seca, that's going to be a very interesting track when it turns, when it comes to traffic and the like. Not much room to be had at Laguna, so we very much look forward to that. Of course, more Trackstars action here at Fuji over the next couple of weeks. Subscribe to the channel to see more action from the world of the Trackstars series, be it the touring cars, be it the Formula category, or the endurance guys. Lots of excellent racing to be had on the channel, so do give us a subscribe. We'll see you again very soon, but from myself, Adam Weller, and from everyone here at Trackstars, it's thank you for tuning in. Congratulations to all the winners and all the finishers in general, especially in this endurance race, and we'll see you next time for more from Trackstars.